Welcome to Concept Hunter, now on Saturdays. Today we're going to talk about Axuo, A-X-U-O, so I hope that's how you pronounce it. This is part of the Gameboy game jam, so clearly it tries to emulate the gameplay and aesthetics of Game Boy games, and does so quite successfully, I believe. There's a really cool strategy puzzle game in here, but a couple of the things that it does kind of hinder its own progress and success. So let's actually jump in and take a look. Note the first thing that you have to note is the bottom, is this guy who's apparently called Axuo, robot thingy, that keeps talking to you. Now, the biggest problem is that he is not only a character that tries to say all kinds of random crap that doesn't mean anything to you and that you don't care about, but also it's a tutorial. And that's really the duality. The fact that it does both roles is actually kind of bad and kind of hinders the game in the sense that I don't know if I need to listen to him or not. A lot of the time I don't, and it's just annoying. There's no way for me to know when he's saying something relevant and something not relevant, and I have no control over him whatsoever. So if I miss something, it makes sense that I'll miss something because I have to focus on the actual game, and that something that I missed might be very relevant because I need to know basic mechanics of the game that are only told through that. That is why usually character and tutorial are separated in some kind of form or fashion, or at least, you know, there's a different color or a different way to differentiate between the two things, crap or actual tutorial. And because you have such a limited color palette, it's really not done here, and that kind of hinders the game. So it's problematic, and I really have to make sure that I focus on that, which is it's an issue, especially later on. I'll actually get to that. So let's first of all start the game. This is floor number 1. And we see that it's actually generated as we speak. It's kind of slow, the generation, and gets dull, and it's the only place where the game is slow, and that's kind of annoying. But other than that, it's procedurally generated. That's cool, but might have a couple of issues in a puzzle game. We'll get to that. First of all, let's actually just move around. You can press. Note that I have at the bottom right, I have blocks. And then I move on blocks. When I move on blocks, the block behind me disappears. I can also place down blocks, which takes one of the blocks that I currently have in my, let's say, inventory. Note that I can also take blocks into my inventory, but there is a maximum. Currently I'm at the maximum. If I'll take another one, nothing will happen. I'll just remove it. And clearly, the only thing that's possible and that makes sense for me to do is reach the one block that looks different and is kind of, its colors are changing. So that's the ending block. That's kind of obvious. I want to have the optimal, just to make sense, I want to have the optimal route through the level into the last block, because I want to make sure that I finish the level with the maximum number of blocks. That's correct. That was a mistake, actually. You actually carry over your blocks to the next level. And this is where this game is not just a puzzle game that's procedurally generated. It is a strategy game where you have a strategy and you have to try and have the best optimal route throughout the level. And this is really interesting, and this is one of the things that makes this game great, but also one of the things that gives this game a couple of issues. So, the level is generated every time. And as far as I can tell, I might be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, it doesn't take into account how many blocks you actually have. Again, you carry over the blocks from the previous level, which means that I can totally end the level with 0 blocks, or a few blocks, not a ton. And that might be an issue. That might be an issue because, well, if I have 0 blocks and I go into the next level with 0 blocks, it might be impossible. I don't know, because it's procedurally generated. That's an issue, and that means you could literally just drop into a level that you cannot pass. There's no way to go back and get more blocks. However, you could do whatever you want and then die. And if you die, then you can actually get more blocks, maybe. But again, you have very limited lives. So now I can actually die, and I'm going to die just to show you how it's done, because that's not trivial, I guess. There are spike blocks now. Note that I cannot move forward into an empty block. I can rotate around the hexagon, the 6-axis that I have here, and I cannot go into a block where it's empty, but I can go into a spike block and just kill myself this way. At the bottom right, you see 2 eyes. There used to be 3. Those are my lives. Once that's done, the game is over. You start from scratch. The only thing is that if you pass a whole block of 10 levels, that's a checkpoint. That you'll be able to start at level 11, for example, instead of level 1. So I could die twice more, it seems. Now these are spikes, and I could actually pick up whatever I want, right? There's no reason why I can't pick up spikes as well. And by I'm pressing Z in order to pick stuff up, and I can press X in order to switch between my spikes and my normal blocks. The question is, why would I want to collect spikes? And currently, there is no answer. Oh, I just walked into it because just absent-mindedly. Why would I want to collect spikes? And yeah, actually, when you die, it resets your inventory to maximum normal blocks, it seems. So why do I want to collect spikes? There's no explanation currently, and the explanation actually reaches in a couple of levels, so I'll actually have to reach there. This level is exactly the same as the old one. There's two levels of something. There's a level of something new, one more level just to get you acquainted, and then another level where there's something new again. And I'm just going to make my way here, maybe not optimally, doesn't really matter, to the ending block so we can progress forward into the game. So now there are metal blocks, and these metal blocks you can't pick them up, and they're just there. And they don't actually go away ever as well. Note that when I go from a normal block, it disappears. The metal blocks do not. They just stay there forever, and I cannot pick them up. Also note that the exit sometimes is further away from me, and sometimes it's close. So there is this element of complete randomness in the level exit, which is totally fine, actually. So this is something that I kind of missed the first time I played, and only understood it the second time I played. And the spikes actually interact with the metal blocks. So if I take a spike onto a metal block, it actually removes the metal block, removes the spike, and I get a normal block. And this is very, very important. And this is one of the cool mechanics that this game has, which means there is really a lot of depth into the strategy, and you have to think about what you're doing here. You want to have the maximum number of normal blocks, the maximum number of spikes, and you want to plan your route accordingly. This is all really cool, and there's a really interesting progression, strategy game, and puzzler in here that you want to get into. You want to have more levels and more types of things. This level, for example, is kind of very easy, but I still need to think. Even though there's a very simple way for me to just get to the exit, I still want to think and get my optimal route in there. I can also destroy, these are metal spikes, so I can destroy them with a normal spike, which doesn't give me a new normal one though. A new normal block. So I reach the exit, and now we're at floor 8, and this is where the game takes a turn for the worse, because now there's a timer at the bottom right. And now you've lost the strategy, the thinking, the optimal route, because I have to take a look and watch out for the timer. Note that this timer is also pixelated, which means I don't exactly know how much time I have. It's kind of difficult to tell. And if we're on that subject of difficult to tell how much time you have, it's also kind of, I mean, can you look at the amount of blocks that I have and know how many blocks I have? Because I can't, and I've been playing this game. I don't know exactly how many blocks I have. I don't know how much time I have. And now I have to rush through. I can't just look at the level and slowly make my way in terms of puzzling through. No, I have to rush it. And there's not a lot of time. I didn't actually count it, but there's not a lot of time. And this added stress, this added difficulty, I feel kind of ruins it for me. If it was, procedurally generated and you start and it's always completely solvable and you start from scratch, then you don't have to think, you still have to think, it's still an interesting level. But because you have this progression, because you have this inventory management, and I don't know, but I hope there's more different types of blocks and more thinking involved in what exactly concoction do I want. I want to do this, take these 2 blocks and put them over here so that it'll build a third different type of block, and you have to puzzle your way through a level. Now I have a timer on my head, and that's just, it's too difficult and it's too taxing, and it clashes with what you've built so far. And this is my biggest gripe with this game. It has a little bit of an issue here and there, but this is the biggest problem that this game has, I feel. And I wish it just didn't have a timer. It didn't have a timer and had more progression. Now I'm going to kill myself just to show you that this is by Pizza Makes Games. I actually skipped it quickly. But I want to go into the second level, the second pack of levels, just to show you 2 more things. One is that the color scheme completely changes, which is interesting. It's cool. It means that you have more colors, and it does. The first one was only green. Now we have white and orange. So there might be in the third one, there might be even more and more. I'm not sure, but that's pretty cool. There's no story involved, but he keeps saying sub-basement and stuff like that, so I'm not really sure how it works. And again, I'm kind of trying to ignore him because I'm trying to play the game, and now I'm on a timer as well. So I really can't take a look at what he's saying because I'm on a timer, among everything else. And this is the last thing, it really does become an interesting game because there are no normal blocks anymore whatsoever at this point. At this point, you really have to concoct your way through. And this is really cool. I want to play this game, but I'm not going to because of that timer. I stopped playing because it is very harsh. Again, you only get a checkpoint once every 10 levels. You have 3 lives, and it clashes for me. The gameplay that I want out of this clashes for me because of that timer. Really cool concept. Wonderful progression. A lot of things you could do with this. A couple of small issues. It's called Axuo by Pizza Make Games. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.